Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the second section of this workshop of Perwira dialogue dealing with this white paper from defense. I've been asked to moderate this section, and I think the biggest challenge for the moderator is that how to manage the time. We have only got 1.5 hours to discuss a very important topic. Therefore, in the interest of time, I will not do very more for this introduction as far as the CVs of the panelists are given in the document. So, without further ado, hello, can you hear me? Okay. Sorry, I think sorry, I said in the interest of time, we will go straight to the section, to the panel discussion. So, because the Minister of Defense has spoken at length on why we need this paper, and I think it's quite very, very correct. Yes, that this is a very important paper as far as the Ministry of Defense and the defense of the nation. So we have actually 3 speakers in the panel who will be joining us helping us to understand rigors and of making the defense white paper. Yeah. The speakers are Shakul. Shakul, as you know, is actually Deputy Under Secretary at the Policy and Strategic Division of MINDEF. This is the division that deals with the analysis of geostrategic issues that the Minister just now spoke from length on the importance of understanding the geopolitics. Because the white paper on defense must reflect our understanding of the nature of geopolitics. Now, this division is also responsible, but one of the things is to make sure that the policies are well done or well organized and in this regard. Now, he will share with us, hopefully, his views, perspectives, and thoughts on defense policy matters, and at the same time, try to make us understand the importance of this white paper in making these policies and how MINDEF actually will benefit from the proposed white paper of defense. So please welcome Richard. We have 10 minutes,
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, honorable guests, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. I'll try my best to deliver within 10 minutes time. I believe most of the G's has been so-called explained by our DG Midas and also the Honorable Minister. So I will explain more towards explaining why we need to have this defense white paper and perhaps some introduction to the defense white paper that will be tabled in the Parliament in December, inshallah. Yeah. Right. The Minister discussed about the changes in the geopolitics and the security environment. Therefore, we need to address this because our last defense policy was published back in 2007. Dalam more than 10 years. So there are lots of changes happening. So therefore, we need to address it because we need to see whether our defense strategies are still valid or not. Yeah. Because definitely there are things that we need to do changes for us, for able to defend our country now and also in the future for the next 10 years. So therefore, we need to analyze this and address this in the defense white paper. Secondly, we prepare the defense white paper because to show the good governance of the current government, and the good governance of the government. Yeah? To be more transparent, and also, more importantly, to engage the stakeholders, yeah? To get the people, the public, rakyat, to discuss and to get awareness with regards to defense. As what Minister said, the defense is everyone's responsibility. Tanggungjawab bersama. Tanggungjawab bersama. So that we need to explain to the people, we need to share with the people, okay, what are the situations we are facing now, and what are the plans by the government to address this. Yeah? Because basically defense is an expensive business. Yeah? And we need the commitment from the government and also the support from rakyat to ensure that our plan to defend our country for the next 10 years can be implemented. Yeah? And it also portrays our position in the international community. Yeah? Because as everyone's aware, that military is a tool of diplomacy. Yeah? So with this document, we are able basically to position ourselves at the defense perspective, and also to emphasize Malaysia, for example, in this coming white paper, we are emphasizing Malaysia as a maritime nation, and also as a link, connectors, penghubung between Asia Pacific and also in the Indian Ocean region. Yeah? So this where I think Malaysia is so-called in a very strategic location, yeah, whereby we are able to place ourselves in this strategic, in this international strategic and regional strategic environment. Yeah. So let me introduce the so-called formats of our, or the framework of our defense white paper. So basically we have 8 chapters, which are divided into 3 parts. First is the vision, where we have the introduction and also the strategic outlook. This is chapter where we discuss on the current strategic outlook and we identify what is our national interest. And then the second part, which is our strategy, we have chapter 3 discussing on the defense strategy, and chapter 4 on future force, chapter 5 on people in defense, and chapter 6 on international engagement. So these 3 chapters basically is an interpretation of the planning to implement the 3 defense strategy being discussed in chapter 3. Yeah? And the part 3 of the defense white paper is the implementation of the defense white paper. Basically, we have 2 chapters under that. First is on the defense industry, which is one of the so-called mechanism for us to implement the defense white paper. And second is the priorities, reforms, and also in terms of funding. Yeah? That will be the defense white paper framework that will be tabled in the Parliament this December. So we emphasize the defense white paper on the whole of government and the whole of society approach. Our engagement today is also part of this engagement at the low level of all levels of the society, from organization down to the individuals, through this platform or also through online, which have been conducted by MIDAS previously. Again, why defense white paper? Because we need to engage, we need to hear, we need to get opinions so that we can improve, and again, we need to get support from the defense white paper. Because right now, if we ask our friends whether do they really know, do they really understand about national defense? Again, usually they are so-called informed through this informal channel. Through informal channel. That's where the defense, the national defense has been so-called been diverted. Jadi lain, from what's really happening on the ground. And that's where when the perception of askar makan tidur comes in. Because of the lack of information, lack of awareness in terms of national defense. So in the defense forever, we propose so-called the National Defense Framework. We started with a vision defending Malaysia as a secure, sovereign and prosperous nation, which actually defines our three national defense interests, which is the security, the sovereignty, and the prosperity. Dari segi keselamatan, kedaulatan dan juga kesejahteraan negara. And from there, we identified 3 out of 5 national defense objectives. Basically, first is to develop our armed forces, able to detect, deter and deny, which is a very important keyword for us. And second, to enhance our internal resilience and to strengthen our defense capacity and security through credible partnership, and to enhance our defense industry as an economic catalyst, and also to instill the good governance practices. This is something that I would welcome from the floor later on questions or perhaps opinions on this item which is being proposed under the National Defense Framework. Inshallah. And perhaps I will touch a bit also on the National Defense Strategy. We introduced the 3 pillars of the defense strategy. First pillar is the concentric deterrence, second pillar is comprehensive defense, and the third pillar is on credible partnership. So this is a very holistic approach whereby we are covering first in terms of the defense itself, on the military, on the so-called assets capability. And then on the second pillar, we discuss about the people who are protecting the country and also how rakyat can contribute to defense. And thirdly, on the credible partnership, whereby our cooperation with other countries to ensure their security and the stability of the region. So this will be our strategy for the next 10 years. That will be emphasizing, that will be implemented not only by the Ministry of Defense or the National Armed Forces, but for the whole government and also for the society. For us to be able to defend our national interests, for the interest of the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and in terms of prosperity. So this is something that slightly different as compared to the National Defense Policy. For those who are aware of the National Defense Policy, we have actually prescribed on the strategy of last time forward defense and also deterrence, which are also part of the element of these 3 pillars of strategy. But rather on this approach of the defense, we are going more holistic and also to have this whole of government and whole of society approach, so that we get the support by the government and also from the rakyat. This is something that I would say different from the previous National Defense Policy, which is more exclusive and is basically secret rahasia, so only accessible to the senior officials in military and also in the Ministry of Defense. So I really hope that to engage more during the Q&A session. I'm sure there are lots of questions. Last week it took us about 2.5 hours to give a briefing to the Select Committee in the Parliament. So for me to do it in 10 minutes is a very challenging task. So I hope that we can engage more during the Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Hello, thank you, Trevor, for your presentation. I think what we need to do is to remind the participant that this is a very important session, and the session requires your participation. And I think the white paper will be much better in terms of content. If at the end of the session, people tell us or advise us on what they should be included in the white paper. At the moment, I think many of you may think that the same white paper is already done, what should be consulted? No, this is not quite done. There is still room for discussion, there is still room for including for you to tell the policymakers that meet them on what should be the content of the white paper. Now, before we go to the second speaker. The second speaker is General Dr. Zaman. He is the Chief of Staff of the Malaysian Armed Forces Headquarters. Now, I don't think we need reminding, but I think it needs to be stated that the Malaysian Armed Forces is the operational branch of MINDEF. They are the backbone of the Ministry of Defence. They represent the men and women keep the nation safe in time of peace and war, 24/7. Now these are the soldiers, sometimes important, who sometimes put their lives on line in order to defend the nation. So I think it is very important that we bear this in mind, because sometimes people forget the role of the armed forces in the defending the nation. Although I think admittedly, it was stated by the Minister of Defence that the defense of the nation cannot be done by the military alone. The military is not only the organization that should defend the nation. It is the responsibility of every citizen. That is what the concept of handbook that we're talking about. So but I think also another point that we need to stressing is that the primary mission of the Ministry of Defence or the Malaysian Armed Forces is external threat. External defense. That means defense against external threat or threat coming from external sources. And to their credit, I think something that we have to take note and acknowledge that MINDEF planners from day one, since we became independent actually, have taken this aspect into consideration. In other words, the defense of the nation should not be left to generals and soldiers alone. It's a fact of life that in this country we take this into consideration, although I think in terms of implementation we have not been doing that quite well. Nonetheless, I think it is important to bear in mind that we are all responsible for the defense of this nation. Now, our government has invested a lot of money, invested a lot of treasury in the Ministry of Armed Forces to ensure that it has credibility and to ensure that we have a credible defense posture, to secure our own national interest in the next decades. Example, if you look at the budget for this year, we have received a budget of roughly about 15.6 billion, correct me if I'm wrong, and this is 12% higher than the budget in 2018. This shows that the government is building educational facilities as well as capabilities. Now, we have, as I said earlier in this section, General Dr. Zaman, who should be able to tell us what is the importance of this white paper on defense. And all this white paper on defense will actually increase the capabilities of the Malaysian armed forces. So, Dato', the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrabbilalamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today I will be sharing a topic that is of great importance to the Malaysian Armed Forces. As a member of the Malaysian Armed Forces, I'll be scoping down my topic to the future force, which is being briefed just now as part of this defense white paper. About building future force, I hope it will trigger and lead to a fruitful, professional and meaningful discussion and interaction among us after this. And more importantly, our interaction today may lead to a new dimension in strengthening our defense white paper between writing team, the Malaysian Armed Forces and various stakeholders. The Malaysian Armed Forces, just like any other defense organization, is punctuated by the historical events that form the foundation of its present organization. The MAF's future shape and size in this ever-changing high-technology era needs to be properly conceptualized so that it will always be prepared to face not only future warfare but other associated challenges as well. Building a modern and capable future force to defend Malaysia's national defense interest is the most fundamental component of Malaysia's defense policy. The MAF serves as the Malaysian shield and is entrusted by the government to uphold the national defense objectives at all times. Hence, the role of the Malaysian Armed Forces can be summarized as follows. The force structure and force posture need to be reshaped to better address the unpredictable security conditions. I hope the MAF force size will remain at the current force level and more emphasis on enhancing joint capabilities and preparing for any contingency situations such as from armed intervention to natural disaster and realizing the two theatre operations between the peninsula, Sabah and Sarawak. Increasing national awareness of these challenges will improve interagency coordination and forging external partnerships as part and parcel of this defense ecosystem. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the MAF will develop into an integrated, agile and focused force and capable of responding to traditional, non-traditional and hybrid threats during peace or conflict with a high level of readiness to perform its prioritized roles amid the unpredictable security environment. A critical part in this development is the need of the government long-term investment in enhancing the MAF with the necessary assets and equipment, as well as knowledge-based workforce and other means to support Malaysian Armed Forces roles during peacetime or conflict. The future force, I believe, must constitute 5 main characteristics, which are jointness, interoperability, technology-based ability to operate simultaneously in two theaters, and mission-oriented. These components will constitute a rapid deployable and multi-role force capable for operating in all 4 domains covering maritime, air, land and cyber, electronic, magnetic, with the ability to maneuver and engage multiple targets in the designated areas of interest. Elaboration of the characteristics are as follows. Jointness. Current and future operations of the MAF will be conducted in the joint context, and the concept of joint operations represent the integration of troops and assets from all three services of the MAF. This joint concept is vital to achieve maximum synergy involving all three services of the MAF. Interoperability, commonality of doctrines, procedures, systems and equipment are very important to achieve interoperability between services and also between agencies, which could increase efficiency during joint or combined operations and minimizing operation costs. Selection of systems and equipment should consider across the services and agencies with priorities given to products or services from local defense industry. Technology-based. The future force needs to incorporate the latest technology in force structure and force posture to cater current and future operations. Operation ability. Malaysia's geographical factor is a big challenge for the MAF to defend two theatres simultaneously. With the latest development at South China Sea and learning from the past, Lahad Datu inclusion in 2013, Sabah and Sarawak are now at greater and in dire need for stronger defense. Connectivity between the two theatres is vital to protect fellow Malaysians across the sea while maintaining sovereignty and territorial integrity. Therefore, mobility is the key for future force to be able to deploy rapidly and swiftly between the two theatres as and when required. Mission orientated, considering the large maritime territory that needs to be covered, including three important waterways, namely Straits of Malacca, South China Sea and Sulu Sea, the MAF would require to project forces beyond land and to have adequate air and maritime capabilities to increase maritime domain awareness. In those areas, these strategic lines of communication, together with the vast sea areas that are rich with resources, would require sufficient protection to ensure the security and safety of navigation. Based on subject discussed, the essential requirements to develop the MAF's future force long-term plan to defend the national interests are as follows. Strengthening MAF's defense intelligence, developing of cyber electromagnetic activities, capability, enhancing intelligence, surveillance, target acquisition and reconnaissance capability, building network-centric operations and satellite communications for enhanced joint command and control capability, sustaining and enhancing MAF special forces capabilities and operational tempo, maritime domain enhancing maritime strike and maritime sustainment capabilities, air domain, air strike and air defense capabilities, land domain enhancing firepower, mobility, communications and logistic capabilities, and lastly developing amphibious capability. These capability requirements will ensure MAF to have full operational readiness in order to carry out operations effectively in the designated areas. Benefits of the DWP towards MAF future force are as follows. A stable defense funding will be given to the MAF in order to achieve the MAF mission, which is to protect the sovereignty, integrity and its national interest. The government understands the need to sustain a high operational readiness level to perform the duties. This includes replacement of obsolete and aging assets and maintaining current operational assets. However, due to budgetary constraints, the long-term proposed plan to acquire and sustain the required capability for the next 10 years has to be constantly reviewed. The public will understand more regarding the job scope of Malaysian Armed Forces either in war or peace, so that the public will give full support to Malaysian Armed Forces for defending this nation. To support the capability development, the government needs to provide the primary infrastructure support, such as camps, bases, equipment, etc., which is necessary to maintain current and future operations, including redeployment of troops to Sabah and Sarawak, which require new camps and bases. In developing and capability development, as discussed in DWP, the MAF will adopt modern technologies such as artificial intelligence, drones, and other surveillance tools to lessen the workload and man-hours required to conduct related operations. Force posture. The MAF needs to work together with related enforcement agencies to protect and defend our national interests according to concentric deterrence strategy, as mentioned just now, which covers core, extended, and forward areas. Core area. The MAF starts to protect Malaysia's land territories, forest borders, where it shares long boundaries with neighboring countries with dense tropical forests and mountain ranges and long coastlines. The geographical condition of Malaysia favors insurgencies in which a foreign country or military group could infiltrate in Malaysian jungles to conduct insurgency operations. Thus, the future force must continue to prepare for jungle warfare and counter-insurgency operations, as these are still very much relevant in the modern day. The core area is also going through urbanization with emergence of large cities as a result of rapid economic deployment, particularly in the peninsula. This poses a new challenge for MAF to be able to fight effectively in urban areas. Result of fighting in built-up area can be devastating, as witnessed in Mosul, Iraq, and nearer to our shore, Marawi, in 2017. Therefore, the future force needs a better preparation for urban warfare and close-quarter battle. The MAF needs to enhance their indirect fire capability for rapid deployment and to project firepower beyond land to deter or defeat threats from reaching the core area. The future force should require indirect fire support with newer guns and that have longer range, better precision, and able to fire technological superior ammunition. Mobility and firepower are two important elements for maneuvering and fighting in modern warfare. The MAF needs to replace their aging Sigmas and Kondo vehicles with newer ones with better protection, increased firepower, higher endurance, and with amphibious capability. Realizing Malaysia as a maritime nation with land territories divided by the sea and with more than 800 islands along the coastline of Malaysia, the MAF needs to establish an amphibious force within the existing force in being to defend the national interest in the core area. For maritime operations within the core area, the MAF would deploy littoral mission ships that can conduct a wide variety of missions, including SAR and HADR, counter-terrorism and anti-piracy, intelligence gathering and reconnaissance, hydrography, and mine countermeasures. Introduction of 5th-generation fighters and standoff weapons means that the MAF needs to have a more capable air defense capability to secure the core area and the airspace above it. In protection of airspace above the core area, the future force would require light combat aircraft for close air support, interdiction, ISTAR missions, or combat air patrol, and maritime strike to complement the frontline multi-role combat aircraft. In the extended area, the government acknowledges that it is a challenging task for MF to protect and defend the extended area. Thus, the cooperation with other Malaysian enforcement agencies, such as the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency and authorities such as the Fisheries Department, will expand the coverage to secure the Malaysia Maritime Zone. The government recognizes that MAF will continue to play an important role during peacetime. MMZ, or Malaysian Maritime Zone, is very vast, covering the exclusive economic zone, continental shelf, and the airspace above. Air and maritime capabilities are needed to enhance the MDA for better operating picture within the extended area. Forward area. To protect and defend Malaysia's national interests abroad and to fulfill global responsibilities as well as to conduct operations in the forward area, MAF relies on its air power, which is the multi-role combat aircraft, aerial tankers, strategic airlift, submarine force, and special forces. For long-range naval strike and deterrence in the forward area, the MAF currently operates 2 Perdana Menteri-class submarines, which are deemed sufficient to conduct stealthy maneuvers at long range with limited anti-ship and mining. The MAF supports the United Nations peacekeeping operation worldwide and other international bodies monitoring operations. The MAF has participated in numerous PKOs since 1960 and the current deployment including a battalion at United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon. The MAF also places a high premium on the capabilities of special forces to conduct active defense at the forward area. The key strategic utilities of special forces are flexible options.
Can you conclude your presentation, please?
Okay, as a closing remark, the global security environment is getting more unpredictable, coupled with the scale of technological advancement that is impacting upon the dimension of threats. As such, future hostilities would be witnessed in a swifter pace, in more technically advanced, and in more challenging circumstances. With that, I thank you for the kind attention, and I'm looking forward for any questions from the floor, if there is. Thank you.
Thank you, Ratu, for your presentation. Thank you. We have the last speaker, but not the least. The last speaker is Professor Keng Kui, who is the professor at the University of Science Malaysia. Yeah, Dr. Kui, let me just say a few words. Dr. Quick is actually currently the head of the China Studies program at UKM, and he is by training specialist in international relations and geopolitics, and is the only outsider as far as today's analysis because he comes from the university and he's not one of the members of the Ministry of Defense. Dr. Quick is also the head of the technical team who is commissioned by the Winner in order to come up or to write, to propose some ideas that would be towards the publication of more on this white paper on defense. So he has been commissioned by Winner, and he has a team to support him. I think I'm not sure whether we discuss the content of the white paper just yet, because it is still analyzing and we're still in the final stage of realization yet. But the question I think what Professor Quick share with us is his own personal views on why this white paper is important to the Ministry of Defense as well as to the nation. And I think the question that I pose to him is, what is the significance of this white paper? What is the, to the nation, and it faces geopolitical uncertainties? To what extent actually this white paper will contribute significantly to nation's defense, or as in say another decade or so? Professor Quick, you have the floor, and I hope you can be quick as well as this.
Thanks very much, Professor Hamza, our dear advisor of the technical team. Selamat datang, selamat sejahtera, and very good afternoon, everyone. A couple of weeks ago, when I received this assignment, in fact, it was DG Hisham of Finance asked me and gave me this assignment. His instruction was very, very clear. His instruction is that he expects me, or his organization and therefore expects me to give a perspective as an academic. As an academic's perspective that would hopefully complement MINDEF DASTA's perspective, as well as the Malaysian Armed Forces military uniforms perspective. So if later on for the next 10 minutes or so, if I sound very academic, you know I'm doing my job. And with that, I know that the time limit is 10 minutes, and that's kind of a challenge, because this is actually my 24th year at UKM. And those of you who attended UKM, and particularly I saw many former students here in a different corner, they know very well that every time when I speak for 3 hours. I think we are not going to that for today. After 10 minutes, I'm going to avoid Professor Hamza's eye contact for sure. I will pay attention to IGP and also ASU. That's my plan. And having said that, let me perform my task. Professor Hamza has also given me a very clear assignment. Let's share some of my views and also my technical team's view as to how we think this defense white paper, by the way, is a formal defense white paper of Malaysia. We knew from Jit Saiful and also our earlier speakers, including Menhan himself, that before this, of course, we already have a number of defense policy documents, but none of those would call as a defense white paper. So technically, officially, this is Malaysia's first inaugural defense white paper. So I would say that there are a number of things that we can talk about. Since I have only 8 or 9 minutes left, let me just use 3 points to highlight how we thought this defense white paper is important. And this is like 8 or 9 months down the road, we still think that it is very important. And they are important for a number of reasons. I would highlight only 3. So number one is that I would think that defense white paper set the direction. When we started the task, now with not just technical team, for sure it's the larger technical team. I saw Miro Garnet, I saw Dr. Mahindra, I saw a number of people from armed forces, trade services. We have started this task, I would say earlier this year, and that's kind of very, very short, because we know that even countries like Australia, France, and Germany, those were published a number of times defense white paper. Typically, they use about 2 years. So we have less than a year. But despite the fact that the time frame, I would say, is quite challenging. But still, we thought that we need to produce a defense white paper that is going to be different from other countries. So meaning that we don't want to be take the easy way out, just refer to other countries' defense white paper. We want to deliver our tasks, because the first is always, I would say, the most important, because of path dependence. That if our country is going to have the second or the third defense white papers and so forth, clearly we are going to refer to what this defense white paper contains. So the direction is very, very clear, and this is the direction that led us to evolve and also develop the whole white paper into 3 parts that Jit Saiful has already mentioned, and I won't repeat, but just to refresh your memory. When we talk about direction, we really mean some vision. And because even though defense white paper is really about strategy, about implementation, but if strategy without direction, without vision, I think we are going to be in big trouble because of then we won't have a prioritization in a number of ways. So that would one thing will lead to another, but it all begins with vision, strategy, and then implementation. So we are hoping this defense white paper is not just a document, regardless of the length, whether or not it's 100 pages or more than 100 pages. It's not going to be just a compilation of assets or services or funding. Those are all very important. But all these have to be presented along the way of setting some kind of direction. And we hope that since defense white paper is going to be public, and that brings us to institutionalization. Institutionalization meaning that defense white paper is going to be very different from any of the workshop, conferences, or even meetings that we attended. Sekali habis mungkin after that, not many people will remember. But defense white paper being official, being printed and going to be distributed to the public, different segments of the society, it's the idea, the direction is going to be institutionalized in a number of ways. And more importantly, we thought that this defense white paper, since it is going to be shared with not just those in armed forces, not just those military and non-military agencies in the government, but also those in the public. And as we do realize that the main audience is actually from NGOs, from civil society organizations. So we underscore the point that we want to have exchange that is being educational, not just for those in the government, but also to everybody. Educational about what? About how unique or how peculiar Malaysia's case in the world of international assistance. There are a number of ways that we thought that perhaps those in the armed forces, those in the agency would be very, very clear. But this might not necessarily be the case. So what kind of the focus of this defense white paper, other than the kind of typical military stuff that you are going to see, it's a number of things that we thought is about how and from where Malaysia come from. And you would expect from this defense white paper, for example, the evolution of Malaysian armed forces from a threat base to capability base and then to interest based conflict. So we will also understand, hopefully, for those within and outside of the government, we know full well how Malaysia, despite the fact that we are a small country, has actually punched above our weight in a number of ways, in ways that safeguard the security. So with these three aspects, we hope that we are not just like revisiting some historical events. For example, earlier on we were in AMDA, Anglo-Malayan Defense Agreement, and that was critically an alliance base. But that ended in 1971. And what replaced AMDA 1971 was something that was mentioned by Menhan a few minutes ago about FPDA, Five-Power Defense Agreement. But 1970s was also a very critical time in which Malaysia has evolved from so-called alliance-based to non-alignment posture that continue until today. So those who do not have the kind of historical understanding of what happened early on, we will not be aware of why and how the current government has adopted the way that we have adopted for a number of things, either in terms of ASEAN, how we deal with Southeast Asia, and how we actually adopt a very low-profile, cautious stance, even on things like South China Sea. I think some of us have read the media that we know Malaysia is one of the 11 countries in South China Sea. And while government is stressing about our sovereignty in this overlapping plain area, government has also highlighted the point that we are neutral among the competing powers. By saying that, it reveals Malaysia's perspective that we are aware of what kind of a country we are, meaning that we are, in a way, small country in the world of a big power competition, which brings me to also the second and also I would say the last slide with text. I will have some map, but I will make it very, very briefly. So the key themes, having explained about the significance of what defense, how and why a defense white paper is important, let me just highlight the key themes of what to expect from this defense 1 week. Again, I have 3 points, 3 V's that hopefully all of us will remember after the end of the session. So these 3 points that I think will capture about the contents, the essence, the nitty-gritty of defense white paper. I'm civilian and academic. I can't really review some of the details. So I thought that these 3 V's would help us to expect what to see from this defense white paper. So number 1 is about voice. Number 2 is about values. And the third one is about vision. Let me cover each of these very, very briefly. So voice meaning that it's a Malaysian voice. When we first started, I remember that there are a number of foreign partners like Australia, the United Kingdom, like France, Germany, so on and so forth, come to share with us. One of the key questions that some of those foreign partners and also among officials ask is that, what kind of model are we going to adopt? Our defense white paper, is it going to be Australian model, France model, or German model? The answer from the very beginning, if some of you recall my involved, is that we thought that we are going to have a Malaysian model. Malaysian model meaning that we are going to have a Malaysian voice. And by Malaysian voice, what does it mean? I think one of the key theme and also voice that you are going to see from first page until the very last is that the realistic assessment that although Malaysia is not a big power, although we do not have the very high capabilities and so forth, we are able to be very active in shaping how situation at the regional level and international level is going to evolve. So there is a kind of a Malaysian voice that precisely because of we are small and limited with limited resources, the more we need to be more active. Either by ourselves proposing some initiative or work together with partners in Southeast Asia, ASEAN neighborhood, but also with countries far away, but we share the same strategic goal. So those voices are very clear, and the voice will lead us to some values that underpin the discussion, in which the whole Malaysian defense approach is very much underpinned by values. We are peace-loving people, and then the internal resilience and also external partnership are clearly 2 aspects of Malaysia's strategic approach. So I would not bore you with the details, but what is more important is that through the next slide, the highlight and also the table, we would be able to showcase the very vision that would explain why the current Malaysian defense white paper allowed us to institutionalize certain initiatives that Malaysia has put forward, but it's not being well understood. So this table, my last slide, would provide a very brief overview. So because of time, I won't go into this, but we can learn a number of things in addition. Sure. We can, the last word that I would highlight, and then you can pay attention to this list of initiatives, is that those are the kind of initiatives that Malaysia has advocated and promoted over the years, not alone, by a number of regional countries. And they have helped us to enhance Malaysia's defense and also security, not by alone, but by partnership. But clearly, there is that activism in which that allowed us to strengthen Malaysia's position within at the regional level and also international level through a number of interrelated strategic initiatives. And I will stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the quick presentation. I'll move to the audience for the question and answer section. That before we start the question and answer session, I would like actually to once again acknowledge the presence of the IGP country, and it means so much to the Ministry of Defense because it shows that we are together in the defense and security of the nation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have only half an hour before we close the section. So please bear with us. And as I said earlier, within this half an hour, we would like very much to get your views on how to go forward. And we want to hear from you, your own voice. So that at the end of the day, probably we can come up with some much better sort of white paper on defense. Yeah, can I take a question from the floor, please? Please be brief. Yeah. Untuk Mugat.
Terima kasih, Doktor. And thank you very much indeed to the speakers. Thank you very much indeed. Now I've got 3 questions for all the speakers. For the first one, I believe it is you see, for me, my understanding is for the military to be a credible force, you need to do some credit to the defense spending. A certain percentage needs to contribute to the defense spending. So my reading was, since 1960, our defense spending to the GDP was 3.5%, something like that. But since, if my memory correct me if I'm wrong, since 2015 it goes to 1.5%. So how do you want to, for the future defense spending and also for the strategic requirement, to move if you do not pay to the GDP? That was my first question. My second question is to Dr. Kamal. I thought when you talk about the force structure, the characteristic, did I hear you that you're fighting in 2 theaters, and then you also highlighted that we must have a amphibious capability. Can you elaborate on that, please? All right. And for Professor Craig, you spoke about the defense paper is based on threat perception or based on capability. Well, we are moving on capability now. Well, I realize that. Why do we go for threat perception? Because we are talking about after the end of Cold War, 30 years ago. And then Islamophobia is the password now. We are surrounded by many Buddhist states. So you may, if you go for threat perception, it's very, you can hear, you know who they are, your defense budget can be an advantage, and perhaps you need to be very bold in this nature. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. I think these are very important questions, but I think we have to take a few more questions. To the panelists. Yeah, definitely.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nama saya Haji Hashim Abang. Saya mewakili Farna saya mewakili masyarakat.
Tak dengar. You will speak closer to the mic, please.
Please. Agak segala sikit. Saya fikir kertas putih ini bukanlah satu benda estetik dan dia boleh berubah. Dan kedatangan kami NGO yang dijemput hadir pada pagi ini tentulah membawa sesuatu. Saya sangat tertarik dengan speaker pertama tadi, Tuan sakit nak ingat ni, Tuan Shah Rahman bin Daliman. Okey, saya tertarik kepada future force, public defense dan juga international engagement. Dalam 3 pilar ni, pilar kedua adalah penting pada kami lah. Sebab kami akan menyampaikan hasrat rakyat yang di bawah, grassroots pasal. Pada petang ini saya ada membawa cadangan yang dibawa dari CEO. Dan juga saya ada satu soalan akhir nanti. Cadangan kami adalah supaya perkhidmatan keselamatan negara hendaklah diwajibkan kepada semua warga Malaysia yang berumur 18 tahun. Masukkan sekarang. Kita sekarang itu kena buat. Sebab banyak kesan-kesan positif. Kita dah lihat apa yang telah berlaku pada PKN. Dan nampaknya kesan positif dari PKN itu dia merupakan ala ataupun pra kepada ketenteraan ataupun defense kepada sovereignty Malaysia, sovereignty negara. Satunya ia menyentuh tentang soal disiplin. Jadi membentuk remaja yang berdisiplin dan amat faham mengenai tanggungjawab sebagai warga negara dan menjaga keselamatan negara. Kedua, akhirnya patriotisme, berlatih dan bentuk jati diri sebuah bangsa dan integritas sebagai anak Malaysia yang sama-sama akan mempertahankan kedaulatan negara. Yang ketiga, mementras gejala sosial. Kerana apabila mereka dilatih, biasanya mereka akan lebih disiplin dan menjauhi perkara yang soalan contoh macam adab dan sebagainya. Saya tak tahu sama ada perkara ini boleh diterima atau telah diskus sebelum ini, tapi cadangan kami ya. Begitu juga dalam penyimpangan. Penyimpangan maksudnya selama ini apabila tidak ada tentera, semuanya adalah orang Melayu, rata-rata yang Melayu. Apabila kita boleh enforcekan kepada semua orang umur 18 tahun, dia ada multiracial di situ, ada India, ada Cina dan sebagainya. Dan dia orang tahu apakah tugas-tugas tentera sebenarnya yang selama hari ini dikatakan makan tidur. Yang ketiga, yang kelima, dari segi perpaduan. Oleh dasar keselamatan negara, maka akan membentuk perpaduan dengan rakyat menjadi tunjang pada negara. Dan betul sekali, enforcement pada umur 18 tahun ini akan menjadi benteng terakhir pada pertahanan negara. Itu satu. Yang keduanya, Jabatan Sukarelawan Malaysia, masa apa itu balik? Kita naikkan balik kerana kita sekarang ada 300,000 rela ini di seluruh negara, lebih dari 300,000. Dan kita tahu peranan mereka amat penting. Umpamanya sekarang ni, jabatan-jabatan kerajaan, termasuk jabatan-jabatan yang very strategik, dijaga oleh guard-guard asing, pendatang-pendatang asing. Kenapa kita tak replacekan supaya mereka ini atau rela ini yang menjaga keselamatan kepada semua bangunan-bangunan kerajaan itu telah menambahkan pendapatan dan sebagainya. Dan kita rasa itu penting sebab ada jati diri dalam diri dia untuk menjaga hak dan kebesaran dan jadi kalau saya tak banyak sangat sama lagi kan. Okey, yang ketiganya kita kita lihat apabila askar yang telah pencet pada umur pada 18 tahun berkhidmat atau lebih tahun berkhidmat, mereka menjadi macam-macam. Ada yang berniaga, ada yang naik, ada yang sebagainya. Kenapa tidak sahaja mereka ini orang yang telah dilatih dalam angkatan bersenjata dan sebagainya, orang angkatan yang berinform ini dimasukkan, dijadikan pula kepada pelatih berrela.
Okay, I think we have to stop you there in order to take question.
Okay, my last question. Actually ada mamak sebelah sekali. Tak apalah, saya silakan nanti kepada panel terlihat di paper ini. Last sekali, apa rakyat akan buat jika tiba-tiba negara ini diserang? Apa mereka akan lakukan?
Okay, once we take that.
That's all.
Yeah. Some of the recommendations have been discussed by the technical team that was commissioned by the ministry. But I think these are useful these kind of points that you have raised, and some of them are not necessarily based on different issues, because this is where I think the police and the Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. But then I think we have to move on. If you have to, we only have 30 minutes and we have to. Okay, thank you. We have to cater for so many questions. Yeah, please.
Assalamualaikum
The last question and then the last the panelists to respond.
Saya Azizan Muhammadi, Presiden Gerakan Reformasi Veteran Angkatan Tentera Malaysia dan Sambungan. Yang hadapan saya tengok semua profesor cerdik pandai, saya tidak pandai. Tapi saya nak tanya satu soalan. Yang pertama, kita tengok isu kerahan tenaga di Malaysia belum sesuai. Satu. Yang paling bagus, yang dikatakan askar wataniah ini diperkasakan dan rakyat tahu askar wataniah ini boleh berperang sama regular. Yang kedua, kami ni veteran. Veteran yang muda ni nak tunggu nak buat apa? Itu soalan saya. Veteran yang masih sihat, macam saya tak perlu masih sihat lagi. Mungkin selepas kita dah tak ada nanti, hilih berganti veteran yang berhenti. Adakah cadangan-cadangan? Mereka ni nak suruh duduk kampung saja menunggu. Jika sekiranya negara ini terjadi sesuatu, apakah plan contingency untuk veteran Angkatan Darat? Terima kasih.
Thank you. Okay, let me now turn to the panelists to answer some of these points raised by the speaker. I think that the speaker now I actually ask all the members, especially to respond. And this very, we don't have much time, so be quick with your response and be as explicit as you can.
Yes. Thank you very much for all the question. Terima kasih banyak. Jadi menjawab soalan yang pertama berhubung dari segi funding ya.
Excuse me, there's a question by Jeremy or please.
No, wait. Let us respond to this, allow the panelists to respond to the earlier question, and then we'll take Mia's question later. Yeah.
Baik, jadi berhubung dengan funding dari segi pertukaran pertahanan, jadi sebenarnya kita address perkara ini dalam kertas menteri pertahanan. Cuma kita mengambil pendekatan yang sedikit berbeza bila kita telah berbincang dengan agensi pusat, terutama ini daripada Kementerian Kewangan dan juga Kementerian High Awal Ekonomi. Jadi rather than or instead of taking through DGP, the GDP, right now we are basically because the importance here to get sustainable, stable funding. Sebab kalau kita lihat past 10 years kita nampak peruntukan tu dia menurun, trend menurun. Jadi macam mana kita nak pastikan untuk peruntukan pertahanan ni stable dan di paras mana? Jadi kita telah pun membuat kajian yang agak komprehensif yang mana kita mendapati bahawa bajet yang kita perlukan ni adalah paras untuk for us to able to operate, for us to able to sustain the readiness level is about 6.5% of the national budget. 6.5%. This is what we have so-called conveyed to the central agencies. Because this year we are getting at 4.4% of the national budget. Jadi menurun. Jadi kita melihat bahawa paras yang paling minima, paling busuk lah kata. Kita tak boleh turun bawah daripada 6%. Jadi dalam pertahanan kita mencadangkan kepada kerajaan, kepada rakyat untuk kita mempunyai peruntukan tahunan di paras 6.5% daripada bajet negara. Ya, itu satu. Kedua, dari segi soalan berhubung dengan khidmat negara. Ya, jadi saya memang sebenarnya menyokong penuh lah, ya, sebab apa khidmat negara ini sangat penting. Ya, tapi walaupun pekerjaan sekarang ni dah memutuskan negara itu dibubarkan, ya, tapi tanggungjawab untuk kita meningkatkan ketersimaan itu masih lagi penting untuk kita mengutakan negara. Ya, jadi dalam kertas menteri pertahanan kita melihat kepada mekanisme sedia ada. Ya, yang juga seperti contohnya salah satunya seperti yang askar wataniah yang dicadangkan tadi, yang disebut tadi. Jadi kita bukan salah satu saluran untuk kita meningkatkan tahap patriotisme. Tapi selain daripada itu sebenarnya dalam kertas menteri pertahanan ini sebab kita menggunakan pendekatan yang menyeluruh. Jadi maknanya pelibatan rakyat itu sendiri dan juga dari segi untuk kita menyampaikan mesej. Jadi kertas menteri pertahanan juga adalah sebenarnya salah satu usaha untuk kita menyemai, meningkatkan
Betul simak. Kalau kita perasan sejak semenjak ni bila kita dalam proses kita menyediakan lintas pertahanan, kita nampak banyak banyak perhatian yang diberikan pada pertahanan berbanding dahulu. Dan dari situ kita lihat yang mana rakyat pun banyak kita lihat yang memberi perhatian dan juga menampakkan keutamaan, memberi keutamaan kepada pertahanan. Dan alhamdulillah kita boleh lihat kerajaan sendiri pun yang pada masa itu mungkin lihat dan negara ini mungkin penting tapi mungkin tak terlalu penting kan. Tapi alhamdulillah dengan kita lihat baru-baru ini pengumuman bajet melihat peningkatan dari segi pertahanan. Ini adalah salah satunya adalah hasil engagement dalam kita menyediakan kita percaya itulah satu hasil yang kita engage pihak-pihak bersama menyediakan agensi kerajaan pusat.
Okay, Datuk Kamal Zaman, you have answered to respond to the question raised by the floor just now.
Okey, dua aspek soalan tadi. Satu adalah able to operate in two theatres simultaneously. Okay. So dia punya konsep of kita punya defense is always on the defense. So maksud dia we have to be on the defense until people start to incur into our area, then only we will start our offensive. So kita semua tahu yang kita punya kawasan ni big mass is Peninsula Malaysia dan juga Sabah Sarawak. So the worst case scenario that we are going to have is when both landmass is being attacked simultaneously. So because of that, that is why we have our the defense requirement so that our armed forces is able to operate in both theatres, meaning Peninsula Malaysia and also Sabah Sarawak simultaneously, which can cater for the worst case scenario. Itu yang kita nakkan. Rather than kalau kata just in Peninsula, then no problem. The Sabah Sarawak can support. Kalau in Sabah Sarawak, no problem. The Peninsula can support. But worst case is both landmass is being attacked. So that is the logic behind ability to operate in two theatres, which is Peninsula and Sabah Sarawak simultaneously. Worst case. Okay, soalan yang kedua adalah berkenaan dengan amphibious. Okay, amphibious ni is the capability that you want to have with regards to the army able to project to the forward area. Kalau tidak, kalau army ini semua towards core area, which is landmass and also kita punya territorial waters, that is what we categorizekan sebagai core area. So in order to be able to project kita punya ability with regards to land force punya component, then we ought to be able to project either by air or by sea. So by air, no problem. Kita ada aircraft apa semua. Tetapi if we are not able to project by sea, that means we are kekurangan that capability with regards to using the navy to have our army forces to be able to project within theatre pun boleh. For example, kalau kata Sabah Sarawak is being infiltrated, then we have the forces dekat Peninsula to be able to project kita punya to take back kita punya landmass dekat sana. So that is the logic of why we are looking onto having that amphibious capability. Then this amphibious capability pun is not a new thing. It is already being thought of, but dia punya development tu is quite slow. So now with this DWP, we want to make sure that that capability is going to be enhanced. Thank you. So that is the answer.
Sorry, Doctor, can I just intervene, please?
No.
Okay, then can I speak? Thank you.
It's very difficult, if you start intervening because we have very short period of time to discuss things. Yeah. So please bear with us. If you have serious things to discuss later on, you probably put in the paper and discuss with the various people. Yeah. So the other question was raised from the floor was quick.
I think the question was straightforward. It's about evolution of threat-based, capability-based, and then interest-based. That's actually evolution of the doctrine of the policy. So we were just, defense white paper is reflecting these changes. So as a response, I would say that those evolution is quite understandable for a number of reasons. Right? One is, of course, because of the magnitude and also the nature of threat is very different. During the Cold War, because of ideological competition, communism at various levels, domestically and external, was a direct threat. So the threat was straightforward and you know who you can count on to. So that was threat-based. I think it made a lot of sense. But in the post-Cold War era, including right now, you know that the threat, the risk, challenges take a number of forms. There are traditional, there are non-traditional. And then I have to mention about the theater scenario and all that. So different type of threat, we relies on different kind of solution. Some regional solution, some still kind of a power solution or diplomacy solution. And that's where it can only be kind of decided upon interest. And I think early on there was a table showing that the interest is very much along the line of security, sovereignty, and also prosperity. So the short answer to the question was, I think it would very much depend on the kind of what kind of security threat that we are facing, and hence it require different kind of capability based on different interest combination.
Thank you, Dr. Quick. I do hope that the quick response was valid now. Now let me ask Saiful actually to respond to the question from the floor with regard to what role you want to give to the veterans. You know, and what is in for the veterans? Saiful, could you just say a few words on the policy part of it?
Sure. So we address the issue on veteran in chapter 5, people in defense. Basically, we discuss the whole range of the so-called defense workforce, from the regular to the reserve to the civil servant in defense and veterans and also the rakyat. So kita bincang semua itu dalam dan memang kita nampak yang mana veteran dapat menyumbang kepada pertahanan negara. Ya, memang kita kena pasti dan perkara itu kita address dalam chapter 5 dalam
Okay, thank you. Let me ask, give the floor to Major Myong, actually. We've been waiting to speak. And please be quick, Myong.
Thank you very much. First of all, I came here this morning, here, because I could defend white paper defending the nation, serve the dialogue and thing. After hearing the speakers talking, I still don't see where is the white paper. That's number one. Right? If I start talking, I can talk, I think 4 hours. If I talk 3 hours, I will talk 5 hours about this. But how can I ask a question when I don't see any white paper being talked, that has been mentioned today? And I also sympathy to my veteran friend what they're supposed to do, you know. Tengah Melayu, saya datang sini tadi kerana saya ingat white paper ni tadi dibentangkan dan kita akan memberi pendapat-pendapat yang lebih benar untuk membaiki white paper ni sebelum dia dipersembahkan di kabinet dan seterusnya bawa ke parlimen. Tetapi white paper ni apa yang dibentangkan tadi hanya proses. Tak tahu, saya pun tak tahu. Ini just mana-mana kita boleh baca di dalam apa dan sebagainya. Tapi saya nak tanya satu. Soalan saya yang pertama, kita nak buat white paper ni, we are talking about the defense policy. Jaga pertama dan mention about the role of the armed forces tadi. Saya nak tanya, dekat mana datangnya the role of armed forces ni? It's not in our federal constitution. It's not there. It's not in any law. Then when you don't have the role, then what are we trying to do here? First, we must have our role stated in the federal constitution or in any of our law. It's not written anywhere. The role of the armed forces. Saya belajar dulu di kadet dulu kata peranan tentera adalah berlatih untuk perang dan membantu polis di masa aman. Itu, tapi tak ada di mana-mana. This is very important. Peranan angkatan tentera mesti tercantik somewhere dalam undang-undang negara. Barulah kita boleh kata inilah apa yang kita nak buat. Itu yang pertama soalan saya. Yang kedua soalan saya ialah tentang pertahanan menyeluruh. Pertahanan menyeluruh ini tidak dibincangkan apa yang nak dibuat. Saya ada banyak cadangan. Saya kata daripada simple thing saya pergi ke China dulu. Kalau kita jalan highway, setiap gunung dia tembus. Dan setiap gunung itu adalah shelter. Kita di sini kapak, hotel yang ada underground kapak. Underground kapak ni boleh kita buat shelter, bawah shelter. Tak tanah merdeka atau bawah tu, semua tak ada. Tak berfungsi sebagai satu pertahanan menyeluruh. Pada veteran, saya kata, veteran mesti nak tanah, nak apa. Kalau kita lihat dari the threat daripada luar, benda banyak yang kita boleh fikirkan. Kita tengok Gaza Gaza dulu dibuat Sungai Koyan dulu pasal to cut off all the enemy from kita buat pasir, kita buat apa, lot of cut off kita buat.
Okey, Video.
Jadi saya nak cadangkan, saya nak tanya, adakah white paper ni juga melihat dari segi development of the border, bagi tanah ni kepada veteran. Veteran yang muda-muda ni bisa home guard dalam akta angkatan tentera. We have this regular reserve which has not been activated. Gunakan 5 tahun dia tak nak dalam tu, belum activated because kerana tak ada duit. Now we are talking about something else.
Okay.
Jadi saya masalah.
Thank you. I don't know.
We are not talking about white paper here. I don't know what you're talking about.
Saya nak review ini daripada tahun 60-an lagi. Many of you punya point itu very valid. They have been taken into account in the formulation of the white paper. There are some aspects that we addressed in one of the chapters, but the point that you raise is that you don't see the white paper. Here is the problem, because the white paper is in the final stage. And how I wish that the white paper is actually published today so that you can have a look at it and debate the white paper. But unfortunately, the white paper is still in the final stage. We're putting the final touches to it, and hopefully you can only see the white paper after it is published. But the white paper is not panacea for all the problems that are in our process. No, I just want to allow the other speaker before I bring this section to a close, because I have to bring this section to a close by 5 o'clock. Please, 5 minutes for you.
Thank you. My name is Dato' Saiful Nizam Abdullah, President of MCIO, Melayu Cina Union and others. Okay. Today I have a few questions. One is, let's say, from the white paper that effect, right? So let's say somebody in the neighbor country serang kita, rakyat kita apa nak buat? That's the first question. What should be on the white paper? You should tell them what to do or whatever, or train them up. It's what my leader was telling. So after 18 years, age of 18 years, to have maybe armed forces punya training ke apa, then they know when they are prepared. Yes. The second thing, a lot of papers that have been put out in Parliament, implement every wonders, but implement a lot, but enforcement very poor. So I emphasize this thing should sometimes like the Raja Malaysia, they want to enforce whatever I know about it, but they will not give it the full power to enforce. Politically it's stopped. So how to defend the people? And the third thing is whatever today's law, thank you very much, very good for the people. But the only problem is when they come here today together and give a point of view, but time is not enough to talk. So, everybody is not talking nonsense now, because you want to talk nonsense, don't talk here, go at coffee shop, correct? But they are giving the ideas, legitimate ideas, and do the thing properly to put it in parliament, because all the Wakil Raya or whatever, the Ali Majlis or whatever, they are the ones to put present it into in the parliament. Because you know why sometimes they don't talk. They're scared to talk. Next term, out. So it's no good. Ini yang rakyat diutamakan.
Kita ada time constraint.
I know, but you see, sorry, kita faham banyak-banyak. If you feel that the time is not enough, why not be doing in the morning? We are already wasted a lot of time just sitting and think for what. We are here to hear the point of view and give a point of view. Not the whole of okay. Very good. Point style or
No, point well taken, but I'm only
I think, sorry to say that this is my last thing, minta maaf banyak-banyak. All the point, whoever has given all the points, I think but this thing won't come up. Because I'm here, I'm 65 years old, I know. Because a lot of things people give views, but like all these things, like Professor Sumar bagi is a good one. That one is professional. We are not professional, we are laymen.
But bear in mind, ini bukan untuk pertama kali dah.
Yeah, I know, that's why. You know why untuk pertama kali? You know why? Kalau betul-betul jalan, 1-2 kali sudah set. That's why.
Okay.
Yes, everybody know me and saya bantu rakyat, staff semua, whatever, semua orang semua. Not even 1 cent from the government. Okay. I cannot let out the thing, but I want to tell the truth. Why? Kita jiwa rakyat. You know, I'm a poor man. I'm not a rich man. Okay, sorry lah. Kalau I always whatever I talk to my heart, Okay. Thank you. I hope this thing will carry on and make it successful and help everybody. Those questions. Okay.
1 minute here. Thank you.
Saya sebagai corporate retiring officers, saya nak tanya, I think on paper it's not very good. You can appreciate the website. My question is, can we implement it?
Alright.
Thank you.
I don't think anybody will do it. The challenge, of course, in implementing the ideas and the policy. That's the real challenge. But I think I have trust and confidence in the armed forces, as well as in to undertake this challenge well in the future. So we cannot at this stage worry so much how they will react or how they will react. But please, I would like to think that they are capable of defending. Alright? So I have to bring this section. I'm so sorry because this time constraint. We did not start. I will not actually organize it was tasked to become the moderator and was tasked to say that you have to end the session by 5 o'clock. That is the mandate given to me.
Sir, can we ask the organizers to extend a little bit?
And so I think to ask them
Because we are here, we spend money to come here. I think it is, it's a dialogue. Please, whatever you say. If you have a dialogue, then everybody should be given a chance. Otherwise, just for doing, and getting on with it.
Let me ask you, Isham, where is the organizer? Isham, where are you? Are you keen to extend another session or what?
We should.
It's not a question of we should, because it's a question of funding and also other things.
We are wasting our time,
Pak Lima sampai Padang, kita patah. Pak Lima kampungnya berarti. Kita bayar gaji.
No.
Assalamualaikum. Tuan. Hello, Tuan. Saya minta maaf, Tuan. Kita ni warga negara Malaysia. Bahasa Malaysia. Mak Sabu tadi cakap bahasa Malaysia. Minta maaf, ya.
Okay. No, okay, the organizer said you have another 30 minutes. Yeah, okay, 30 minutes. Is it okay with you, Datuk Sri? Alright, 30 minutes. Okay. Cik Saiful want to respond to the soalan yang diutarakan oleh the last speaker.
Terima kasih atas soalan tadi. Jadi mengenai peranan Angkatan Tentera Malaysia, ya. Jadi sebenarnya dalam perlembagaan ada dinyatakan secara umum. Tapi yang peranan yang lebih khusus tu kita nyatakan dalam dasar pertahanan sebelum ini, dalam dasar pertahanan negara. Tetapi sebab kerana dasar pertahanan negara ni dia bersifat rahsia tersebut, sebab tu kenapa ramai tak aware ada dinyatakan. Sebab itulah kenapa sekarang ni kita mengeluarkan kertas putih pertahanan. Jadi kita secara rasmi menyatakan peranan Angkatan Tentera Malaysia di dalam satu dokumen rasmi yang akan dibentangkan di Parlimen. Jadi di situ nanti kita akan address dan again memberi kesedaran dan juga mengesahkan peranan Angkatan Tentera Malaysia ini dalam pertahanan negara. Kedua, dari segi pertahanan menyeluruh, ya. Jadi memang kalau kita lihat dari segi aspek keselamatan dan pembangunan itu adalah satu elemen penting yang mana kita tekankan. Again, sekali lagi kita melihat perangai sebelum inilah dasar pertahanan negara sebab itu sempat rahsia. Jadi kita tidak dapat mencapai atau kita panggil follow government approach. Sebab apa? Untuk melaksanakan pertahanan menyeluruh kita membutuhkan dari segi penyertaan ke semua kerajaan dan juga semua masyarakat. Jadi harapan kita melalui kertas putih pertahanan ini, apabila dia satu dokumen terbuka, kita akan dapat lebih sokongan dan lebih penyertaan. Dan ketiga, dari segi kita lihat peranan rakyat. Jadi peranan rakyat juga kali ini kita address juga dalam kertas putih pertahanan. Sebab apa dalam memerangi ataupun peperangan masa hadapan ni, bentuk serangan ni ada pelbagai bentuk yang bukan lagi bersifat konvensional, tapi bersifat juga non-konvensional yang mana rakyat sendiri juga dapat memainkan peranan. Contohnya mematahkan tomahan-tomahan bentuk serangan kepada negara kadang-kadang. Jadi peranan masyarakat untuk membetulkan fakta itu salah satu aspek pertahanan negara yang mana kita juga tekankan dalam kertas putih pertahanan. Dan akhir sekali, adakah ianya boleh dilaksanakan? Okey, insyaAllah. Sebab itulah kami di Kementerian Pertahanan ini bekerja, ialah seperti kata-kata tadi, ada yang tak bercuti untuk kami mensediakan kertas putih pertahanan ini. Sebab apa? Untuk memastikan kejayaan kertas putih pertahanan ini, kita mendapat persetujuan daripada agensi pusat dan juga daripada rakyat. Dan tentulah kita sentiasa berperan. Jadi pada pandangan saya, apa yang dicakapkan di sini bukannya nonsen, cuma ini benda-benda betul yang kami dengar dan kami akan bawa balik untuk kita kemaskan kertas putih pertahanan. Terima kasih.
Okay.
Saya beri tunjuk Datuk Ahmad. Jadi apa yang kita nak lakukan sini dah saya dah lakukan security. Jadi nak ingatkan balik.
Jangan speak.
Kalau kita nak buat ini, kan defending Malaysia, siapa yang defend anggota ATM. Jadi cabaran satu lagi yang hadapi orang yang duduk kerja tu. ATM tu, skill perkhidmatan dia tak berani masa depan. Dia masih menggunakan ikut dulu sebelum hidup. So, he has not been, bila saya cakap perkhidmatan ada tiga. Dia terus servis, dia punya gaji dan pension. Buat tak tertera. Dia boleh majlis tak tertera. Jadi kita perkhidmatan awam, tapi kita berbeza. Kita juga tidak ada hak asasi manusia independen yang boleh cakap apa semua. Jadi benda ni daripada tahun 57 bawa British. Lepas tu mereka ikut British Gurkha. Tiba-tiba siapa nak turun kami semua ke Grade Public Service second class. Lepas tu yang baru ni lagi turun. Saya dalam proses ni masih yang besar umur 60 hanya kena ke atas. 0.4%. Perkhidmatan awam semua PWO yang berkaitan. Sebab tak? And then dari pangkat masih lulus keluar 12, 15, 21 baru pencen. Lepas 21 nanti baru menang. Ramai yang tak mau continue. Sebab bila you continue, kalau jadi apa-apa dapat kosong. Macam panglima tentera cakap dulu. Dia continue setahun. Dia tak dapat pencen. Korban negara tu. Perkhidmatan awam semua dapat. Jadi kita nakkan, sekarang ni contohnya dalam proses kena kaji. Kenapa 360,000 veteran hanya 40% bersara, 60% tak ada. Lepas tu ada kumpulan 22,000 yang dibuang tak digerap sebagai veteran. Kita agung boleh peraturan 40, agung boleh padan buat yang di sini macam 40. Saya buat tak kuat 50 sampai lah tak pernah ada pada buat. Jadi benda-benda ni lah. Jadi kita nakkan kaji benda tu juga. Jadi saat kita nak buat usaha kita nakkan, kita wujud satu jangka panjang Suruhanjaya pergi melawat UK, tengok macam mana, tengok India, tengok negara-negara kemudian, tengok perkhidmatan awam sekarang kita compare, banyak dah berbeza. Jadi kita kena buat itu. Ini veteran yang ni kita buat betul lah. Kita kenakan 2% tu. It's illegal. Ikut akta berdasar bikin awam. Dan dalam bersih mereka, ATM tak ada situ. Saya buat baru bawa majlis negara. Saya dah cek tengok minit negara. Tugas negara, dia benar ni. Benar pakai. Benar-benar macam tu lah. Jadi contohnya, yang terkait orang yang hilang payah. Ada 549 orang, 20% ke atas. Yang hilang payah 16% ke atas, mata buka kaki hidung. Ada 16 orang, satu yang kena-kena 15 GoPro ke bawah. Pencen hilang payah GoPro 5 kaki hidung satu. Tak ada tahun 2000. Apa ni? Ini 2019 kena naik. And then there's supposed somebody who take care of it. No, it's better. You should take fitness, be along diners, biasa, constant, etc. 440, tak ada 2,000. Nak ambil bed, berapa ribu, 6,000 nak bayar bulanan. And then kalau nak ambil dinas.
Okay.
Macam tu lah. Jadi, jangan lupa orang yang berkhidmat dan dia will be better one day. Masalah ni kena solve once and for all. Kalau dia harus hari-hari. Okay? Ada kajian yang ada benda ni.
This is a good. I'm sure the Bintan will take into consideration your points. Yeah. Tak faham cerita yang dia bilang. You were the paymaster of the Ministry of Defence for a long time. Okay. Please.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Ramli. I'm from the Royal Malaysia Police. Hanya saya bernasib baik daripada Major Mio tadi kerana saya telah dapat membaca draft white paper ini in its entirety, dan apa yang saya dapati kaitannya dengan kepolisan ataupun PDRM per se adalah sangat kurang ataupun boleh dikatakan tiada langsung. Jadi dalam soal defense ini perlu masuk kirakan juga pasukan keselamatan seperti PDRM yang penting, umpamanya dalam kita bercakap tentang non-conventional, umpamanya tentang ancaman-ancaman ekstremisme, ancaman terorisme, ancaman cyber security dan sebagainya. So di manakah letaknya position atau status PDRM dalam keseluruhan ambit white paper ini? Ini adalah satu kekurangan yang sangat nyata yang perlu diadreskan dalam white paper ini. Thank you.
Benda ni ada, tapi kita tak address in detail. There's a discussion on on terrorism as a threat, yeah? But we don't address in detail. But I think the details of it will be taken into consideration by the BDF when they do the operational plans. I think it is recognized from the very beginning the relationship between security and defense. And we always say that security and defense are tied together. We take into consideration the role of the police, we take into consideration the role of the military. But this particular white paper that we are addressing is focused more on the role of the military. It's not saying that the white paper does not take into consideration the peranan atau role yang dimainkan oleh police. So I think this is in defense of white people. Yeah, you may find that.
But if it is a parent guidance, a policy guidance, a parent document, don't you think that the white paper is must contain this thing?
It does contain, but not in great detail. We cannot put in everything in great detail. Okay, thank you. We recognize from the beginning that this is why the whole society and whole government approach yang kita buat. And it is also because when we talk about UNRWA, it involves everybody. You know, this is the approach that Ministry of Defence has adopted, and this is the approach that is used in the white paper. In fact, the emphasis has always been from the beginning that this white paper must be evidence-based, and this white paper must take into consideration the interest of the whole country and government agencies, and that is why from the very beginning kita memang engage with police and so many other agencies together, and this is part and parcel of the dialogue section that we have. Our engagement with non-government punya agencies, betul tak Encik Saiful? Yeah. So okay, we have a few more minutes.
Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum semua ahli panel dan semua ketua-ketua jabatan utama, berbagai ahli media dan keptanan. Saya Pegawai Waran 2 Bersara Ahmad bin Haji Mahmud. Usia saya sekarang hampir mencecah 64 tahun pada November ni. Saya dilatih bagaimana media beritahu tadi. Saya dilatih untuk perang dan termasuklah kata-kata saya yang lain. Saya sebagai veteran telah dilatih mengikut kepakaran masing-masing, mengikut trik tangan. Jadi saya mengemukakan anggota tentera yang telah bersara tidak dapat peluang untuk menyambung kepakaran itu dalam perkhidmatan awam ataupun mana-mana GNC mana dalam perjawatan dia. Contohnya seorang yang pakar dari segi semboyan sepatutnya ditempatkan di tempat yang penting sebab segala maklumat rahsia itu akan tidak bocor sesuai dengan tajuk kita pada pihak ini. Baik, berdasarkan kepakaran anggota tentera yang selepas berhenti dari perkhidmatan tidak diberi peluang dalam perkhidmatan awam. Contoh sebagai pemandu patutnya ditempatkan pada ketua-ketua jabatan. Contohnya kalau pemandu pada Perdana Menteri contoh kan. Jadi pemandu ni ada berpangkat pewaran hingga ke bawah lah. Jadi sepatutnya diberi peluang pada mereka. Dan juga tentang besaran yang dapat pencen. Contohnya saya pegawai, saya dapat pencen tak sampai 1,500. Rakan saya yang sama pangkat dapat pencen 3,000 lebih. Jadi sepatutnya pencen dia dinaikkan mengikut setara dengan keadaan ekonomi sekarang. Okey, itu bagi saya lah. Jadi saya pun dah tengah punca apa yang saya nak sebut. Jadi saya menyokonglah apa yang dinyatakan oleh Major Nemo tadi itu memang ada hubung kait dengan keperluan hubung dengan event white paper.
Okey, saya rasa benda ni boleh ditengahkan dan I'm sure di bahagian dasar akan lihat problem inilah ya. Kerana I think kita dalam membedakan satu national defence policy kita pun tak salah ambil kira peranan-peranan veteran dan rakyat semua sekali. So saya rasa benda ni akan diambil kira dan whether it will be included in the white paper or not is something which I'm not prepared to say lah. So, but I do hope that the white paper ni akan ada satu section yang melihat dari segi peranan yang dimainkan oleh veteran dan apa yang hak-hak mereka yang harus diberi kita perjuangkan lah ya. Okey.
Jadi Prof may I respond ya? Saya pun kalau dapat mic ni biasanya cakap banyak juga lah kan. Tapi dengan harapan kita mendapatkan apa-apa lebih penjelasan, pencerahan pada masa yang sama, kita dapat bertukar pandangan dan juga kita boleh memantapkan kita seperti pertahanan. Jadi kalau saya lihat yang pertamanya, kita seperti pertahanan waktu pertama kali membincangkan secara terperinci berkenaan dengan perkhidmatan berbandingkan dasar pertahanan negara, dokumen dasar pertahanan negara, dia tidak membincangkan perkara itu. Tapi bab pertama kali dalam kita seperti pertahanan, dalam chapter 5, dalam bab 5 dengan people in defense, dia mengenai warna pertahanan, kita membincangkan mereka-mereka yang terlibat dalam pertahanan ini, daripada pasukan tetap, pasukan simpanan, daripada pegawai awam di dalam pertahanan, mengenai veteran. Jadi perkara itu ada ditekankan. Jadi sebab kalau dalam dasar pertahanan negara dulu yang dahulu ya, yang rahsia ni tak ada orang bincang. Betul contohnya veteran lah. Tapi dalam kita pertahanan negeri ada tajuk kecil di bawah bab 5 yang mengutuk tentang veteran. Jadi perkara itu memang kita ambil perhatian berat. Jadi insyaAllah kita ambil kira tadi dengan segi perkhidmatan dan segi kesalahan nanti kita akan address dalam kita seperti pertahanan. Berhubung dengan untuk respon dari segi peranan polis ya, dan saya pun mengambil kesempatan IDP pada kat sini dan IDP ada kat sini. Jadi sebabnya dalam agenda kita ni untuk pertama esok kami ada bengkel ke-8 untuk buat apa tu memantapkan tentang pertahanan. Jadi memang dalam bengkel-bengkel kita melibatkan pihak polis bersama dan ke pihak TDN dan dalam negeri. So bila kita ingin lebih luas, kita ingin menyentuh peranan law enforcement ni, mana kertas putih kena tukar tajuk, kertas putih keselamatan, security itu buat paper abang, itu barulah kita dapat menyatakan lebih kan. Tapi memandangkan
sekejap je, sebab kalau ikutkan strategik punya keutamaan yang dinamakan sebagai 3 di situ, strategik apa ni, bila sebut begitu, semuanya dalam definition defense ini termasuklah keselamatan. Dia tidak boleh tidak diasingkan. You cannot talk about big thing and suddenly you focus on a small thing. Faham tak? Jadi mesti all encapsulating.
Bukan faham tak, memang faham pun. Sebab kita dah debate perkara ni. Kita dah debating perkara ni. Kita dah discussing perkara ni. So apa? Tak boleh diasingkan. Sebab tu kata, kiranya untuk apabila kita, sekiranya nanti tuan dapat baca nanti the final version which will be published soon, kita memberi mandat pada agensi lain. We are giving enablers in that defense worker, but we are not saying it kata ini polis ke apa tadi. Tapi first we acknowledge the role of law enforcement agencies as part of the defense.
Okay, we're not going to debate that, but we have to see Okay.
Saya rasa ni versi yang tak betul ni.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. I'm the principal from the National Defence University. Very briefly, okay. First of all, why is the present government rushing through this white paper? And where is the minister, the deputy? Please convey to them. Why are they not listening to the veterans' voice? This is Perwira dialogue. Just to set the stage, okay? If the Australians did this, the Australians did this through many town hall sessions. And I have been wanting to participate in this dialogue for many times. And this is the only opportunity I get. And yet there's a time to speak.
And you have only 2 hours, yeah?
Yes. Please do consider this and impress on the government. If you want whole of society, whole of government to be involved, engage the public, engage everyone, give them opportunity to talk, present. Otherwise, you're going to leave a lot of things.
Yes.
When it's presented, tabled and approved, then there will be a lot of questions. So please convey this to them. I've got a lot of questions actually, but if you can have a session with academics, please do so. Because I've not heard of any sessions with the academics. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Can I have my voice as a soldier, sir?
So please.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum. My name is Major Rosli. I'm a foot soldier. I'm 66 years old. Now, we are talking about today, kita tengah cakap berkenaan dengan defending the nation. Pihak tuan mengemukakan kertas putih. Saya nak tanya macam mana meja mewah saya. Tanya, where is the white paper we have on Senate? You say Perwira dialogue. Dialogue means converse A, B or C. Now, tak apa. We are listening to the learned gentlemen who are in UPNM, professors, doctors, whatever, yeah? Minta maaf. I admire you then. I have not reached that score, but I'm a foot soldier. I've been in wars in the early 70s. I met Tom Chaw, 10, 8 units more. The main question is, do you really know who's your enemy that you are put the white paper on? First question. Who's the enemy? I'm just a foot soldier, sir. Did the white paper ask from the point of view daripada askar macam saya yang ini ni askar, regiment askar yang kita telah banyak tahun 70-an saya dah naik. Did you ask that question from us? Did you go and ask the real foot soldiers who were there on the ground how to defend the nation? As far as I'm concerned, when I was taught the conventional way, the guerrilla way, the urban ways, yeah, so I was taught in 3 different ways, a lot. But I'm sure, kalau saya pula, I would have asked a soldier like me, who's your enemy? If it's your enemy, I don't know who is our enemy. You say defending the nation, what? Is our enemy Singapore? I don't know that. Until today, after 25 years of me being a pensioner, I don't know who's my real enemy. Nak kata Thailand. I've got a badge here to say that, you know. I've been recognized by the Royal Thai Army. Panatik Bundak 4-star is my good friend. But they say, no, we're not your enemies, man. So who are we? So like macam you kata, when you do something you don't, it's not finished. I happen myself. We are veterans, we were at war. We know what it's all about, defending the nation. I beg my respects, yeah? My humble apologies. Kalau yang segila itu kita tak berapa tahu. Last year, jadi please, kalau you nak dialogue, the gentleman says, give us time. You gave us at 1:30, but you were never there. And not only half an hour, you want to chase us out. You wanted us. I came from Kacang Tau jauh. Pernah untuk ini tu dah 66 tahun dah. So naik betul lagi.
Okay, when you receive, what will take it?
Rosli, Rosli, ya. Kalau Rosli itu kan dia kata saya.
No, I promise you all that that section has to end at 5:30.
So just bear in mind, sir. Listen to the food soldier also. But I don't think you have ever did an interview with them as how to defend the nation. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, I'm not going to allow you to have the last one. I think we don't anymore because time is it's not my fault.
Okay, give me chance for me lah, last chance.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya daripada Pertubuhan Kumpulan Veteran Tentera di Harapan Bencin negeri Pahang, jauh daripada Pahang dari sini. Malam gelap, tidur kat dalam. Okey, Ketua. Saya ucapkan terima kasih semua NGO yang ada pada hari ini. Saya ada perkara untuk memperjuangkan veteran tentera di Harapan Bencin negeri Pahang, iaitu tentang imbuhan. Saya menyu yang ketua rutin yang dulukan dalam parlimen, iaitu tentang imbuhan yang dulu minta 1,200, yang sekarang ni Datuk turun. Tak ada. Dulu 500, sekarang ni tak ada tu. Yang hanya ganti pingat PJM 500. Betul? Betul semua. Apa ni? Betul tidak boleh je. Dia tak pilih ada bos. Ini kalau ditampilkan ini yang buat tu. Ni nak tampilkan. Ini dia pada ni ada orang ni. Baik, dah boleh kan? Boleh tak kita buka kepala ni?
Okey, sekarang ni one of 500. One PN, one of 500. Yang dulu kita dapat kerja tidak convention one of 1,200. Yang dulu kita dapat 1,000. Hilang. Yang balik-balik, yang last kali ada tentera yang tervention 250. Okey, tak apa. Kita memohon pada kerajaan, Datuk, dalam parlimen. Tentera yang tidak convention kita minta buahan 1,200 yang dulu kita minta balik. Okey. Ya, kalau tidak hilang atau punya. Okey, yang sakit kronik yang terlantar. Pembantu sekarang ni, yang kronik yang terlantar, otot dan beli pampers, susu, tunggu masa yang meninggal. Terlantar. Minta lah kerjaan dulu dah sebab RM750 untuk nak beli susu dan juga pampers. Dan juga yang mana yang berjuang dulu, yang pertahankan negara dulu, berkhidmat dulu masa Gubernur, demokrasi dulu. Jangan kata orang awal jabatan yang baik, kita kata sebab kita awak berjawab, tak boleh lah cakap itu. Kita terima untuk negara, bermakna kita berjuang dulu, yang pertahankan Gubernur dulu. Komen yang berpengalaman, yang kita minta yang ini, minta buahan. Buahan, yang dulu kita minta 2,500. Saya minta, tapi kalau lulus saya 1,500 tak apa. Sekarang ni tak ada. Dia jadi kan PRP-nya, tapi dia sakit kronik. Lepas tu, yang mana yang salah hidup yang sekarang ni, berjuang untuk salah hidup, minta kerjaan sekarang ni lulus 500. Tak ada. Yang lulus 300 pun ada. Ini saya menyampaikan yang mana yang perjuangan veteran tentera yang tidak mempencet pada hari ini, mana saya menyuruh pada kerjaan yang saya ada luluslah. Yang mana saya cakap dia 2-3 perkara. Itu saja. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, gentlemen, there's a final line.
Okay, sir. So, sir, last question from okay. Last one from youth side, for the perspective on youth side.
What?
Youth, we are from Malaysian Youth Council. Last one, kan? Daripada suara belia. Okay. Quick one. Okay, tak apa. Saya terus pada soalan lah. Okay. Okey, adakah kertas putih ini bersifat menilai ancaman masa depan negara bagi mempersiapkan mekanisme intervensi sebelum ia berlaku? Satu. Kedua, sejauh mana atau apa peranan belia boleh dimainkan dalam perkara ini? Tadi Profesor dengan ada ahli panel beritahu kesedaran rakyat itu kena ada. Tapi saya nampak alaskan ni lebih kepada belia dulu. Lepas tu baru kita nampak kepada umum yang lepas dia pencet. Jadi apa sejauh mana kejadian belia itu di sana? Itu soalan yang kedua. Ketiga, dan golongan belia diberikan konsultasi yang secukup tak kepada belia kita di negara ini tentang kertas putih ini? Sebab kita biasa cakap belia ni masa depan negara ini bergantung kepada belia. Tapi sejauh mana kesedaran itu ada kepada belia? Yang kita tahu biasa tiap-tiap tahun ada Expo 5 aja dekat Langkawi. Yang dapat benefit pelancong saja kebanyakan sebab dapat menarik tempat tersebut. Jadi kita dah tahu betul-betul apa peranan pertahanan tersebut untuk kesedaran belia itu sendiri. Thank you.
Kita memang apa ni itu tujuan kita ada hari ni pun untuk kita mendengar sendiri daripada apa ni pada rakyat, daripada CSO, daripada veteran. Dan kami memang amat berterima kasih atas input yang diberikan di segi input daripada veteran tidak berpencin dan juga apa ni soalan daripada who's the enemy itu kan, betul juga. Sebab itulah kenapa kita adakan kertas putih pertahanan untuk menjawab soalan-soalan ini. Who is the enemy? Perhaps there's no enemy, but what is our challenges? So again, benda ni akan kita address dalam kertas putih pertahanan. Itulah tujuannya kita adakan kertas putih pertahanan ini, untuk kita memberi penerangan. Dan apabila diterbitkannya, harapan kita ia akan reach out. Sebab apa, sebelum ni kita ada dasar negara ni dia rahsia, so sangat terhad. Jadi apabila kita adakan kertas putih pertahanan ini, boleh diakses oleh semua orang, bukan setakat di dalam negara, juga orang di luar negara boleh membaca tentang. Dan harapan kita juga melalui kertas pemberitahuan ini kita juga akan dapat reach out kepada belia. Ya, sebab apa belia pun memang salah satu komponen penting ya, yang boleh menyumbang kepada pertahanan negara. Ya, dan baru itu pun kita address terutama dalam bab 5 people in defense tu. Jadi dalam rakyat kita pun ada sebut ya, kita ada menyentuh pasal belia. Jadi insyaAllah we are basically addressing all level of the community, daripada persorangan hinggalah pada organisasi.
Assalamualaikum. Saya amat dari Pertubuhan Tentera Tidak Berizin. Jepang, saya Tuan Malaysia. Okey, saya bercerita berkenaan dengan pekerjaan tentera. Apa yang berlaku sekarang, bukan fikir pekerjaan tentera adalah yang terakhir. Maksudnya, ada kerja baru masuk tentera. Betul? Tapi jaminan hidup dia orang dalam tentera kena terfikir juga. Perkhidmatan 10, 13, 15, 18 dan 21. Jaga masa. Apa yang berlaku sekarang ni, mana yang berhenti 10, 13, 15, dia akan khusus 6 bulan. Ini hebat. Adakah jaminan hidup dia orang 6 bulan tu mampu dia dapat pekerjaan? Apa kajian yang saya tengok, cuma 20% daripada yang berjaya. Yang lain tak berjaya. Sebab tu jika jaminan sekarang ni, dia orang berhenti 10, 13, 15, dibagi khusus 18 bulan. Atau kelaikan tu dia orang mendapat diploma daripada kerajaan. Itu menjamin kehidupan dia orang untuk dapat pekerjaan. Dan dia orang tengah kepakaran dia masing-masing. Dia mana dia mampu bekerja di kerajaan. Dan dia orang juga adalah mata-mata kerajaan, bantu kerajaan. Dari segi anasik-anasik services semua. Sebab dia orang ada kepakaran. Itu kurikulum kerajaan tu. Membiarkan dia orang macam tu. Adakah kerajaan nak jadikan dia orang services? Sebab dia pakar. Betul saya cakap? Pakar pakar jata. Dia berarti dia ada. Jadi kena haji. Kurikulum kerajaan biarkan dia orang macam tu. Itu saja saya nak maklumkan. Terima kasih.
Okay, terima kasih. I think